All right, welcome to the commentary for the Corridor Digital hard drive down at Corridor Digital Studios map in Halo Infinite. Some friends and I gathered yesterday for a LAN party, and I just thought, let's play through it again. It's been about a year. They got to play an early version of it. Take note of the drop pods. One of them lands on a telephone pole on the top, just for humor. I think right up there. Yeah, there we go. Players start off on the street. They're aided by some Marines, but I designed this in such a way where the Marines pretty much almost always die. Take note of the Warthog that's in that really large hole. That is in reference to their street, Hunter Street, being in terrible shape. And there's plenty more Easter eggs like that in both this version and the daytime PvP version. Such as the world's longest lightsaber. It goes up to the sky. And it will kill you if you go through it. Getting those grunts to jump out the window, the burning building, that was a pain. They were not moving correctly, and I had to actually basically make the floor flush with the edge of the bottom of the window. I couldn't do like a little wall there because they wouldn't go through it. This opening street encounter actually originally started at the very end where you see that little blue building down there. But I ended up changing that around, completely redoing it, making the street longer. Oh, yep, someone just ran through and got killed by the world's longest lightsaber. It's very fine-tuned. You can actually, if you drive the Warthog fast enough through it, you can actually survive it, but... More enemies spawning. Plenty of things to find on the street. You got healing equipment. Gun gooses. Some hunters eventually spawn down at the end. And there's even a grapple shot right there, which could come in handy. Another Phantom dropping off some units. What's funny, you can actually see over there, the grunts on that roof over there, getting them to jump out of the windows. I had to spawn them on the top of the building and then walk down and then walk through. There were issues spawning units inside there because of the tight spaces. Honestly, it was a bit of a pain. I had to really tweak that that one little skylight a lot to get that to work. And then in reference to Clint being set on fire for that stunt video they did, that is why there is a body on fire. Originally, after this encounter, the loading dock garage opened, and players would go back through that left hallway where you would go to get to Studio 4, and they would go to the back alley and fight some grunts and then backtrack. But I ended up switching that up. If you get the grapple shot, which you just see here, you can get up into this little space up here, grab the mythic sandwich if you want to, and there is a stash of gravity hammers. Completely optional, just a little hidden thing. There's my friends. After you clear the street, your next objective, which I don't think you can see it in theater mode, or at least the icon. You know what? You can see the boundaries, but the actual hill icon in free cam, you're not seeing it here. Players are tasked to... Players are tasked to... and that was actually me, they actually just did too. I got flown over there. Players are tasked to capture this little area, and this is... appropriate to the topography of the satellite map. I basically looked at the map, and they have a business right here next to them, and then there's this little alleyway or space that you can get through. You can kind of walk through and around. Another Easter egg is that this wall is not solid. There's a chopper on the other side, and you can actually get the chopper. And there are vehicle blockers to make it so vehicles can get over this wall. Notice all of the boxes, reference to Nico jumping off the roof and landing in the boxes. This encounter is a little goofy. I decided to just have grunts constantly raining down. I don't know, man. We can have 32 grunts, at the same time. I just thought raining grunts is just too much fun. In the PvP version, you would see a Jenga tower in reference to the concrete Jenga that they played. And the tower is built in such a way that represents the exact formation that it was in moments before it fell. That took a little bit of time to get right, but I think there's a sandwich stuck inside the tower that players can get if you play the PvP version. After players capture this zone and this encounter, the door opens. I took note of various things like the hand railings and the vents there, but players come through the back, past Studio 6 and Studio 5, and they go into Studio 4, where they must capture the green screen. And it's worth noting, this encounter is set up in such a way where the enemies will keep spawning for a limited or a set amount of time. If you don't capture the zone and just fight the enemies, eventually it stops and you have to capture the point. I could have set it up differently where they would endlessly spawn, but I didn't want any players to get stuck. And it works this way for pretty much all of the hills. If you kill all the enemies and you don't capture the hill, eventually you can safely cap the hill, but you'll just be standing around for a little while. There's the couch that we've all seen. I really have to give credit to the fact that their building has these skylights, because otherwise enemy spawning would have been a lot more tedious and tricky to get right. Having them come through the skylights I thought was just a really cool idea. It's worth noting, if you don't know already on my channel, there is a Vidoc I released last year, I believe in May, where I go in depth on the creation of their studio and how I went about it. It's one of my most proud edits. If you're interested in learning more about how I tackled this, the link is below. I recommend checking it out. The couch, another small Easter egg. If I'm not mistaken, the couch has a pen on it. Yeah, I used the little pen object. A pen on it in reference to the fact that VFX artists and various members of the industry signed the back of the couch in real life. So that's kind of cool. Something that I don't think anyone would catch, but you never know. A lot of weapons to find up in the little costume area, which is more detailed. This PvE version, this mission version of the map required more memory to be used on AI and whatnot. So the PvP version is a lot more detailed. Made the logo on the back wall, and the TV they use is deliberately on the ground. But for the next section, players have to capture the server room. This was a very fine-tuned encounter. I positioned nav cutters in such ways where right on the floor right there, the AI is unable to walk. However, sometimes they can get in depending on what's going on. So AI spawns out here, outside the loading dock, and they go through, and they're tasked to run through to the green screen room and they're tasked really to wait for like a little while before they even actually go through the main door there. So in most cases, there's only one way to get in. And there's so much stuff going on. Later on in the mission, things get pretty crazy, VFX-wise, CG, or not CG, but just related to the game engine. And lights can stop working and all that. So there's a lot behind the scenes going on. What I ended up doing to save on performance is having the lights on the street turn off. I think I accidentally rewinded, but now you can see the street is a little darker. Also made the back hallway in reference to all the weapons, the airsoft prop weapons that they have. A bunch of weapons there to grab. Not much is really done in this room, at least in this version. These rooms in the back here. What was surprisingly difficult was just lurking... I'll try to say learning and looking at the same time. Looking around at all the pipes, all the plumbing, and figuring out where all these pipes go. It doesn't look like much, but you know, it's the little things, and there's more of it in the actual map. I'm starting to realize now there's pipes that should be in this area, but for the sake of performance and memory, I actually deleted them. But the real version of the map, the PvP version that's set during the day, that one has a lot more pipe action going on. So once they capture that space, there's nothing going on back here in the podcast room, but there's a gravity hammer, so that is nice. But going up here, the next zone is in this space, up in their little kitchen area. Lots of needler ammo. And enemies still come through the skylight. Not all of them, but does get a little crazy. I want to say, if I remember right, 1,500 points is really hard to break, and it's just 1 point per kill. Because some of these waves are set up in ways where enemies are tasked to keep on spawning and max out the limit of 32 AI. So if you're quick enough at killing them, you can make more spawn faster in certain waves. So that basically means that you don't have a fixed score at the very end. There's ways to get more points. We'll add the ceiling, the curvilinear, like, or the undulating ceiling, and figuring out these blocks here and getting those angles right. Dude, the ceiling was just one of maybe possibly the hardest parts of this whole map project. Trying to get that right, making the skylights, like, you know, appropriately shaped within these curves. Like, oh my goodness. It was painful. Very intimidating, but I got through it. After capping that space, players are able to go through here. There's a one wheel, a very crude one wheel, but in the PvP version, there's a whole kitchen here with a sink, and there's even a pistol in the sink, if I remember correctly. Sandwiches, more detail on the walls if you play that other version. Spare bedroom doesn't have much. There's a healing thing there. Nico and Sam's desks. Not much to see in that space, but the room that most people know in Studio 3. Each member has something different at their desk. Jordan Allen's got a rocket launcher. And, let's see. Jordan has the mythic sandwich, extra powerful sandwich to melee with. And we got the energy sword here. I even pay attention to their monitor orientations. Just trying to be as accurate as possible for a Christian there. I don't remember everybody's name, but Ren, you have a sleeping bag in reference to the all-nighters. I thought that would have been funny. This round is this is mostly treated as just like a bonus round. All of the enemies in this space, they just come through the skylight. Definitely a lot of spawn points up here. Just trying to position everything to look right. And that's this little guy here, this arch, this is in reference to, I mean, this one goes back a ways. This is in reference to the Angry Barrels video. Look at them all struggling. All of the telephone poles are accurate to their real-life counterparts, including the ones on the streets out there. I wanted to make sure I had some sort of a skybox. Obviously, it gets less detailed the further out you go, but I wanted to, just make the map feel grounded. If you just have a floating building, and then that's it, that's just kind of boring. It's pretty easy to kill yourself in this room if you use these fusion coils you can pick up and throw. They're powerful, but I really enjoyed this little mural design. This isn't exactly what they have. Now, I mean, they don't have something like this in this space, but they have posters with their logo and kind of like different little interpretations, some nice little graphic design. But these are all pieces that are very carefully placed to pop out just enough to where it looks like when you stand farther back, it looks like it's like an actual painting. But that was tricky to pull off and kind of do my own thing, my own little take on their logo, which I think is one of the coolest logos I've seen. But players after that, they go through here, and this door opens up to the roof, where they are then tasked with defending this side of the building. This is when things get a lot more fun. I recommend the Purging Shock Rifle. The area of effect damage is just really good. There's a lot of close quarters combat that I really wanted to make something. I wanted to make a section that was just catered to snipers and heavy weapons, like dropping a wraith on the roof there, as you may have noticed. Yeah, I can get a better idea for the surrounding buildings. I went through Street View and I looked at the Google satellite to try and interpret the buildings. Try and get something that's somewhat accurate to what's there in real life. The hard part was the heights of the building, trying to make sure that the heights were appropriate. It was actually almost fun to take a break from working on the main building and work on the skybox stuff. Certain parts are harder than others, that is for sure. Now the rooftop here is it is curvilinear slash undulating like what you see here. Excuse me. It is like what you see here, but for the sake of gameplay and the budget and piece count, I decided to just make the roof flat. And for the final encounter, this is where things kind of open up. Lots of weapons, skewers, sniper rifles, infinite ammo for the most part. This is where you're fighting against units over here. Now, originally, the plan was to have them spawn on the other side, or at least between. What is this, like a distribution UPS warehouse? I can't quite remember. Between here, and they would jump up onto the roof and then move forward, but there were issues with getting them to work right with pathfinding, so I just decided to spawn them directly on the roof. Made things a little easier. It would have been cool to spawn units out on the highway strip out there, but ultimately just like decided not to. This is really meant to just be a lot of fun, like just casual. It is somewhat tricky if you're not careful that you can get killed. I think if you're on an Xbox One, a normal Xbox One, this is where lighting and issues can happen. Now, I have the Series S and the X, and this is I'm recording this on the Series S currently. It holds up well. The first wave, as you can see, brutes, and there's one of those sentinels from the campaign. The second wave or round is really just the ultimate point round, the ultimate bonus round. It's just like a minute and a half, or maybe about 2 minutes worth of just grunts. That's where you score the most points. Or at least, hopefully, score the most points. Try and max out your score. Yeah, this was a good 13, 14-month stretch. This is a intimidating project for sure, but definitely happy that I did it. Projects like these is just I enjoy being in that headspace and figuring out how to solve it, and then seeing it come together at like the very end, and just seeing people's like reactions and being able to have that impact on others. That is that, and ultimately just giving back, right? To the guys at the Corridor crew, I appreciate all the videos that you guys have done, and the VFX artist reacts. There's a time at my previous job where every Saturday, after work, I would get out, I would go through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, and I'd watch the like that day's episode. And I had one friend, or like 3 people, ruin it for me before then, because they said, hey, they used like they did reference footage of one of your videos like in there. I'm like, why would you spoil that for me? Why can't you just let me see it? That would have caught me so off guard. It was I think they were talking about decals for weapon effects in games. They used one of my Halo 5 sound effects videos. But here we are with the final round. Just grunts. Lots of grunts. So if you play the daytime version of the map, there are other Easter eggs that you don't see here. And I will leave those for you to discover. one of my friends down there, just down the street. What is he doing? Can't even really see him. He's just exploring the map. Or that might have been a random player. We actually had the lobby set to open, so. I remember there were a couple people that came in that I did not know. I guess there's a sentinel that spawns too. How about that? You see the engine, the lighting is struggling. All the effects. Forge has come such a long way. I've been making maps since Halo 3 when I was a teenager. That about covers it. This is the final wave. Not really much more to say. I mean, there's always more to say about the building process, but if you want to see how this was all put together, the link below to the Vidoc. I'm very proud of that edit and the way it all came together. The map itself uses pretty much the whole canvas size. I mean, I tried to go out as far out as I could. It's a little less detailed than the PvP version. Like, I didn't realize when I did the research that right about here, it's not in this version, but you would see the LA river that you've seen in films and whatnot, like that dried out like river. That's literally like right there. Which is I did not know that. I think if I were to do this over again, I would have like, if there was more memory and space, I would have it start where you have like a tank and you have to make your way to corridors building, either in that trench over there or on like a different side street. But there you have it. We got to 1470, so didn't quite hit 1500. That's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found this interesting. And unsubscribe for less content.